My father-in-law, Dr. Barry Landrum, was a great man and a great pastor, and he often talked about being. And when he talked about this word, he would use it as a verb, not necessarily just a noun. I knew him and became friends with him a year before I even knew his daughter, who I would eventually marry. And as my wife Gina and I began to date, I came over to their house one night and asked him what he was doing. He said he was celebrating his being, or his isness. Barry was being present in the moment. He knew the Lord, who introduced himself to Moses in Exodus 3 as I am, and Barry knew what it was to be in the moment. In other words, be all that God created you to be and be fully engaged with the people and moments that are right in front of you. We are in a series entitled Discovering You. So far, we have talked about understanding the essence of your identity and connecting your identity to the right things, or better said, the right person. We also talked about the cost of comparison in the second episode, and I shared 7 costs of comparisons and 10 things you should do instead to combat comparing yourself to other people. We'll put links in the descriptions for you for both of those episodes. In this episode, I want to talk to you about discovering the depth of your being and why that is so important to live a fulfilling and purposeful life. In order to be who we are, we have to understand who we are. Let me say that again. In order to be who we are, all that God has called us to be and all that He wants to do in and through us, we have to understand ourselves at a deep, intimate level. And the one who knows you best is the God who created you. You can take courses on tips for how to sell or how to lead better. You can consume podcasts and courses about how to project confidence and a stronger presence. But if you don't know yourself, especially at a deep soul level, these tips will be short-lived in nature and will not produce the long-term impact that we all desire. So the key question is, how can I truly know myself at a soul level? How can I understand the depth of my being? I want to give you 3 tips on how to get down to a soul level and understand yourself better in order to help create moments that matter in an authentic way. And these tips come from one of my favorite quotes and one that has truly resonated with many of the readers of my book, Moments, Making Your Life Count for What Matters Most. The first part of the quote is learn from the past. We need to look for themes in our life, moments where you excelled and truly enjoyed what you were doing. Times when people told you, you know what, you're really good at that. I was about 5 years into my career as a consultant with an incredible global consulting firm, and I began to have people coming to my office for advice. And this was before we had career life coaches, and they were a big thing. I had people asking me about whether they should get an MBA. Others asked me about how to handle a situation with their manager or how to deal with stress and perform at their best. When this initially began, my first thought was, well, why are they coming to me for advice? And then my next thought centered around being grateful for these moments and also being faithful with them. These moments and experiences continued throughout my career, and when I felt like God was calling me to do something else and start my own company years down the road, I was able to look back at these divine appointments and discern a theme for myself about working more with people. I noticed that I was energized about being around people, speaking to people both individually and also in large groups, and offering advice and encouragement to others to help them succeed and find purpose and meaning in their moments. Discovering themes in my life was a transformational moment for me. When I coach someone through a career transition now, I have them go through the same process to identify their strengths, their passions, or what energizes them, and overall themes from their past experiences. It helps them learn from the past and inform where they might go next in their journey. My encouragement to you is to take some time to reflect on your past moments and look for themes in your life about when you were at your best, fully using the gifts and talents that God has given you. The second part of this quote is prepare for the future, and it's the next part that's important. Most of the time when we were trying to figure out who we are and why we exist, we think about that in terms of the future. I need to know what to do next. Should I go to this university or that college? Should I take this job or that one? There are a whole host of questions that come to mind when we think about who we are and what we have been called to do. And we can get ahead of God on this if we're not careful, or we start to give suggestions to him about a better plan or a different route. I have found that it's best to hold on to my plans loosely and to seek God and his guidance and his plans fiercely. In major transition moments in my life, I always want to hear his voice and bring those plans and my thoughts and his thoughts about the ideas I have to him first. This also holds true for daily and weekly decisions as well. Now, I'm not saying that I go to him with every single decision, like whether we should go out for Tex-Mex or barbecue for dinner, or what to order at the craft coffee house down the street. But maybe I should. Maybe that would have better dinners and better coffee experiences. What I am saying is that I've learned and am still learning that God cares about the details and he is concerned about the plan. He wants to guide us down the best path and wants us to fulfill the purpose for which he created us. He doesn't want it to be some big mystery to us that he conceals from us or some option that we never consider. He has also given us free will to make the choices about our lives. And in so doing, he wants us to desire this path because we desire to journey with him. I do believe that we are to use our minds and think creatively and or logically, whichever side of the brain that you lean towards, to dream big and to think about future goals and ideas. And I believe that we should bring those dreams to God every step of the way before we just step out and pursue them, to ensure that those dreams are the right dreams and to ensure that he doesn't have even bigger dreams than we could ever think, hope, or imagine, as it says in Ephesians 3:20. The last part of this quote is to perform in the moment. This is about being fully engaged in the life that we have been given. It's about being present in the moment and bringing our full self to that moment. When we perform in the moment, we bring our best and we encourage and inspire others to bring their best as well. And we don't conceal or minimize who we are based on that situation, the circumstance, or role that we are playing. I was working on a project with someone several years ago, and she acted one way at work and then another way when we did a service project together. At work, she was reserved and didn't offer ideas to our leaders. At the service project, she was energetic, led the effort, and came up with innovative ideas for us to positively impact the community that we were serving that day. That moment led me to mention this to her and to encourage her to be that same person at work that we saw in that service project. Gradually, she found opportunities to be more vocal and to take on more responsibilities, which led her to be promoted the next year. I had another leader in a major company share a heartbreaking story about his relationship with his teenage son. I was leading a workshop with a group of senior executives at a major software company, and this leader, who was in charge of all of the sales team globally, shared that he was fully engaged at work, but not at home. He went on to lament the fact that he found it easier to speak to his sales team because they listened to him, which he interpreted as respect. He said he didn't see the same in his relationship with his teenage son, and that he had chosen to disengage at home in terms of time, energy, and purpose, and spend more of that time with his team at work. He said all of this as tears were just coming to his eyes in front of his executive peers. His revelation that day from that workshop was that he needed to change his leadership style with his son and not give up on developing a relationship with him. He needed to be fully engaged at home by investing time with him and getting to know his teenage son, just like he did with his peers and his direct reports at work. Your gifts, talents, personality, character, and passions have been given to you for a reason. Don't hold back in any area of your life. Use your gifts to make a positive impact at school, on your team, at work, in your home, at church, in your community, with your kids, and wherever else God leads you. If you don't, someone else will miss out on what you have to offer and what God intended them to receive through you. God wants you to discover who you are at a deep soul level for two reasons. First, he wants you to know who created you, a God who loves you as a perfect father and wants to have an eternal relationship with you. Second, he wants you to discover you in order for you to pursue the purpose that he created you for, a purpose that only you can fulfill. God has uniquely created you and is placing you in opportunities to create moments that matter, all for his glory. Don't miss out on these invitations that he's given you. And as always, with purpose and passion, let's make the most of the moments in our life to learn from the past, to prepare for the future, and to perform in the moment.